Yeah, I unmuted it.
Unmute it.
I did. That's why you heard the
I'm
beep.
saying mute it now. Sorry, mute it. So, Hannah, mute it, please.
It is muted.
Okay, can you hear Hannah speaking? Speak, Hannah.
Hi.
No, without the mic on.
How am I going to turn this off?
Without that mic on.
This one?
Okay, so you're hearing
without the
feedback.
computer on.
So what you want to do is you want to keep Hannah's off, and you want to have her speaking through the microphone with Zoe's camera on. So I'm going to be quiet and let you talk.
All right, now tell me if you can hear Hannah speaking.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Can you hear her?
Yes or no? No.
Okay. So how are we gonna?
I don't know how you want to proceed.
All right.
But Scott, I can hear you.
Can you hear me
Wherever
now?
you were standing, I could hear you.
No, she can't hear you.
Can you hear me now, Kim?
Yeah,
Kim?
she says yes.
Yes.
You can hear me now.
But she can't hear me when I talk into the microphone.
Can you hear Hannah now?
When I talk into the microphone, can you hear me? No.
No?
Nope.
Okay. Well,
No.
So how does the rabbi do it when she has her two?
I hear you, Scott.
I feel like I'm in a
You're
Verizon
good.
commercial.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. So what do you want to do?
All right. Can you hear me over here?
Hold on. Can you actually
Yeah. I guess the question is how we go about.
I have a question for Rabbi Malik. Can I turn the, can I unmute myself here?
Yeah.
Yeah, down there, I know.
Oh. Cool. Good.
Rabbi, question for you. You have here the Torah readings for when Scott and Zoe read at the beginning. Are there aliyot or are there not aliyot? Are they just reading or are there?
The only aliyah is Zoe. Zoe will have an aliyah before her maftir reading. So
Okay.
this scroll will need to be rolled a little bit just to that last aliyah. The first two are consecutive. And then we'll need to...
I know they're consecutive, but I'm talking about people being pulled up to,
you just need to call up Zoe.
okay, don't call anybody else.
Correct.
They just read.
Yep.
That's how I read it from here, but I wanted to be sure.
Okay, do you have a computer up there?
Excuse me?
Do you have a computer up there on your...
I'm looking at a computer.
A computer, not a phone, right?
Correct.
Okay, so you know how to use the chat, because if you'd like to ask me questions in between and not like interrupt the service, but I'll keep my chat on the computer.
Okay, well, I have no other questions.
No, well, if you don't know, like questions are unanticipated. I'm here.
Okay, thank you.
You look great on my lectern. You belong there. It's awesome.
Okay.
So, Rabbi, I have a quick question for you. How is it you are able to get both computers with the sound? Because we're getting terrible feedback with the
You
computer.
have only one person. You have to toggle back and forth.
Toggle back and forth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is Kim going to be helping out as a tech person, or is just as a guest?
You show me, I can do it.
well-
I'm familiar with computers.
All right, so it's just mute
Oh,
on you.
none of that I can do.
Okay, so it's when she's speaking
Yeah.
because we can't
So
have both
whenever
going on.
Zoe is on,
understood that.
Risa should be unmuted, and whenever Risa's on, Zoe should be.
Okay.
Yeah,
So the other
we're
way
good.
around. Whenever Risa speaking, Zoe needs to be muted. Whenever
Yeah,
Zoe's
looks like
on,
no.
Risa needs to be muted.
Okay.
And I can't hear you now because you're muted.
So you want to start it? Okay. So,
I got it.
Okay, shall we?
yeah, she has just a few, she just wanted to start with this to good morning.
Oh, okay, so I don't have to start.
Okay,
Fine,
and then she'll,
terrific.
and then you can unmute.
Okay.
Okay, you ready?
Okay. Yeah, I'm ready. Good morning. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Good? Okay. Okay. I see some thumbs up. Hello. My name is Zoe, if you do not know me. And welcome to our fellow Zoomers and live streamers. The Leeb family would like to welcome you to what is our first and perhaps your first virtual bat mitzvah. I would like to thank you for joining us this morning. Please note that we wish we could be together in person, but for everyone's safety, felt this was the best option. I would like to thank you for being here and supporting me. We'll be getting started shortly. Please feel free to provide comments to me in the chat for my review after the service. Unfortunately, because of COVID-19 precautions, the rabbi is not able to join us live, but she will take part in the via Zoom. When she speaks, all will be able to hear her, but only those on Zoom will be able to see her. And it's by Lisa Melly. You can see her.
Okay, we'll begin today with the presentation of the Talit by Hannah Leeb, Zoe's sister.
There's a reader.
Okay. I'm gonna let you hold this.
Oh,
Just hold on to it. Into everything else.
yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Zoe, I've been given the honor of presenting you your talit on your bat mitzvah. I hope when you wear this talit, it reminds you of this special day. And in the spirit of passing things from sister to sister, I want to pass you my yod today for your Torah portion. Not only for COVID cautionary measures, but also because for good luck. I'm so proud of you and everything you've accomplished, and I hope you wear this talit in good health and it brings you joy.
Thank you. Oh, yeah.
There you go. I'll put this over there.
We now begin the Torah service, which can be found in your smaller red book, the Sidur Lev Shalem, on page 168.
Ein kamoha be'elohim Adonai, ve'ein kamaseha, malhuteha, malhut kol olamim, umemshalteha bechol dor vador. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai yimloch, le'olam ba'etz, Adonai oz le'amor yitein. Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Amen. Heitiva b'rtzoncha et Zion. Tibne Chamat Yerushalayim. Tibne Chamat Yerushalayim. Ki v'cha levad batahnu, melech Elram v'nisa, Adon olam. Vayehi b'ntzor ha'aron, vayomer Moshe.
Please rise if you can.
Adonai, ve'apusu orevecha, ve'yanusu misamecha miponecha. Ki mitzvot tetzei Torah, ki mitzvot tetzei Torah, u'devar Adonai, mi'Yerushalayim. Baruch
171 in a moment.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonai, Gadol Shema.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonai, Kadosh Shemo.
Gadol Adonai, Yehova Shema Yadai. Echad Adonai,
Adonai, V'hagevura, v'hatiferet, v'hanetzach, v'hahod, ki kol hashamayim u'ba'aretz, v'ha'adonai, Adonai, v'hakinaseh, v'kol elot, Romelu, Adonai Eloheinu, v'hishtachavu, v'hishtachavu, l'chadam rabach kadosh, Romelu, Adonai Eloheinu, v'hishtachavu, v'hishtachavu, l'chadam rabach kadosh, Adonai Eloheinu. You may be seated. The Torah was used last week for a bar mitzvah that was supposed to have been in the spring, and it was not. We rolled back to where we are, so if you'll give us a moment, we will come back to the beginning, to Bereshit. In this strange time, strange things happen. So we just roll with the punches, as you have become accustomed to doing here. It's going okay. This is going good and so fussy. We're getting there. There may only be 5 books, but they're very big books. Okay, we're in the second book now, so we're getting close. Because we started out in the third book, in Vayikra. So, and here's the beginning of Exodus. No? Yes, that was the beginning of Exodus. You can tell because there's a big space between each book. Okay, I got the beginning of the chapter, so now I need your particular. Okay, Scott, come on up. Tell me what you start with.
Vayal Misham Be'er Shava.
Okay, and I kept missing it last time. Well, here's where the chapter begins. So.
Ufichol. Okay, we're going back up here.
Vayikol Shandor.
Okay, it should be right.
What was the word again?
Vayal Misham Be'er Shava. No. Trying to recognize the words.
Yeah, right. Vayirav Hashem. Vayar Elav, I do not know.
No, that's not it.
Where was it on the column? Because it's similar here.
What?
Yes.
That's fine. I'll use
No.
this. It's fine. Just I have it in the book. Sorry. This is part of the reading, and so it should go up from here.
Right.
I'll go here.
Sometimes words with
Oh yeah, but
yeah, he dug a bit there.
yeah, that's not right.
Vaya'am Shandor Shandor?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Okay. Vaya'al misham be'er shava, vayera elav Adonai balayla chachu,
Page 152.
vayomer anochi Elohei Avraham avicha, al tircha ki ita anochi, uverachticha v'chir beiti et zarcha, be'avor Avraham avdi, vayivein sham mizbeach, Vayichra b'shem Adonai, vayet shem achalo, vayichru shem avdi, Yitzhak be'er. Va'avi melech halach elav migrar, va'achuzat mere'echu uficho sar tzvaot. Vayomer alechem Yitzhak, madua batem elai, ve'atem shnetem oti, baltishachuni meitem, Vayomru ro ra'inu ki chaya Adonai imach vanomer tihi na alach benotenu beinenu uveinecha v'nechratev berit imach im ta'aseh imanu ra'ah ka'asher lo niganucha v'ka'asher asinu imach Imcha rak tov, v'nishalachecha b'shalom, ata baruch Adonai.
Yeshua. The Torah reading had been on page 152 in the large red Chumash, and Zoe's going to read from page 153 in the Chumash.
Is this where you started at? Just leave that for
Genesis 26, verse 30 through 33.
Amen. Vayas lahem mishter, vayolu vayishtu, vayashkimu baboker, vayishavu ish la'achiv, vayishalheim yitzhak, vehu me'ito b'shalom, vayihi bayom hahu, vayavo'u avdei yitzhak, ויגידו לו, אודות הבאר אשר עברו, ויאמר לו מצאנו מים, ויקרא אותה שבעה, על כן שם העיר באר שבע עד היום הזה.
Okay, it is my pleasure now, as soon as I roll the Torah again, 1 second. I'm going to roll it to your next reading, which is a little bit further. Remember what it begins with? What does the Torah reading begin with? What does it begin with? This is the big moment. Ta'amad, ta'amad, ta'amad. Haba hura habat mitzvah. Ora Rivka bat Yechezkel Uvuria. Ba'ali ayah bat mitzvah chazak.
Amen. Vayomer. Oh, that's it? Okay. Baruch Adonai Hamara. Baruch Adonai Hamara Le'olam Ba'en. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam. Asher B'Havanu Mikol Ha'amim. V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Ata Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayomer Ata Zeh V'Yezah. Vayomer Ani. Vayomer Hagisha Li V'ha Itzei Beni. V'man Terah Nafshi. Vayagesh Lo Vayaha. Vayaveh Lo Yayin Vayesh. Vayomer Elav Yitzhak Aviv. Geshana Ushkali Beni. Vayigash Vayishok Lo. Vayara Et Rewada Vayivarhehu Vayomer Re'eh Re'ah Beni Kire'ah Sadeh Asher Beraho Adonai. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Natan Lanu Torat Emet V'Hayei Olam Natal B'Tochenu. Baruch Ata Adonai Noten HaTorah. Can you say that again? Can you say that again?
Rabbi, what were you saying?
Yes, I was gonna offer the blessing to Zoe and her family right now. So if you want to, just leave one of the computers on, so Zoe, Miriam, Zoe's parents, and Hannah want to come up to the email.
Okay, Zoe, Scott, and Liz, if you'd come up to the bima, the rabbi would like to offer a blessing.
today and every day in the eyes of God and in the eyes of all who see her. May her parents, Liz and Scott, rear her to maturity, guiding her to a love of Torah, to the blessing of the wedding canopy one day, and to the life of Gemilut Chasadim, Ma'asim Tovim. And let us say, Amen. And I'm going to extend the blessing out to the entire family, so I'm not sure if the people who are in the shul right now can hear me and can stand, but certainly the people who are on Zoom and can see me, you're welcome to stand, sit, whatever, but this blessing is addressed to all of you.
You are related to
Abraham, Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, Yivarech, Nicole, B'nai, Mishpachta, Habachura, Bat HaMitzvah, Sarah, Ora, Rivka, Mishaberach, I have to read it again. Okay. Mishaberach, Abraham, Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, Yivarech, Nicole, B'nai, Mishpachta, Habachura, Bat HaMitzvah, Ora, Rivka, Bat Yecheskel, Uriah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Yichaskem v'Yamsem, Yivrachem v'Chesed v'Shalom, v'Namar, Amen. God bless their ancestors, Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah. Bless the entire family of Zoe, Caitlin, Leeb, who has reached the age of responsibility for the mitzvot of Jewish tradition. May Scott and Liz always be proud of Zoe for who she is and for her unique capabilities and accomplishments. Adonai, we thank you for the strength that you have granted Zoe's family to reach this milestone in Zoe's spiritual life. Please guide Zoe's parents, Scott and Liz, enabling them to recognize their daughter's new responsibilities among the Jewish people. May they encourage Zoe to continue her Jewish education, which she is already doing by enrolling 1 year in advance for Hebrew High School, youngest Hebrew High School student ever. And may they encourage her to participate in informal Jewish experiences throughout her teenage years by getting involved in USY. And may they continue to emphasize to Zoe the importance of being involved in the Jewish community and the importance of living a life of Torah and mitzvot. Zoe, may you and your entire mishpacha, your entire family find favor before God and the community, and let us say, Amen.
Amen.
We're going to put the Torah away at this point. No, you still have, that was the seventh Aliyah. You have, well, we did them together. So we will. Please rise if you're able, if when the Torah is lifted. We're not getting it too high. Stop. Torah, Asher Sam Moshe, Livnei Bnei Yisrael, Pi Adonai, Yad Moshe. Eitz Chaim Hila Machazikun Ba'avedam Perusha. Eitz Chaim Hila Machazikun Ba'avedam Perusha. Okay, Zoe, you stand there and you look at me and pretend I'm the rabbi. These are the rabbi's words, not mine. So when I say I, it's Rabbi Malik. And
Risa?
yeah, wait a minute, that comes later?
Yeah, Zoe's going to do her speech now in her Torah, and I will be able to give the charge to her, just audio, and she'll see me on Zoom.
Okay, I jumped ahead on my eye on looking on the list.
it on. Boker Tov, good morning. My Torah portion is Parshat Toldo from the book of Bereshit, Genesis. In the Parsha, we meet Yaakov and Esau, known in English as Jacob and Esau. They are the twin sons of Yitzhak and Rivka, also known as Isaac and Rebekah. When the twins were born, Jacob was holding on to Esau's heel. This act seemed to foreshadow the brothers' future sibling rivalry. One day, when Esau came back from hunting, he appeared hungry, vulnerable, and famished. He asked Jacob for some stew, or it might have been a thick soup, that Jacob was cooking up. But Jacob said, "First sell me your birthright." Esau responded by saying, "I am at the point of death, so what use is my birthright to me?" So Esau bartered his birthright for that bowl of soup. How could Esau give up his benefits that would have received in the future just to fulfill his physical needs in the present? How could Jacob deceive his brother like that? Jacob seems to have taken advantage of Esau's vulnerability. Perhaps he had been jealous of Esau's status as the firstborn and found a way to benefit by purchasing, or some might say stealing, Esau's birthright. Many years later, when Isaac was much older and ready to pass away, Rebekah decided to help Jacob, the son that she favored, to gain the blessing that Isaac had originally been planning to give Esau, the son that he favored. One day, Rebekah overheard what Isaac was saying to Esau. He said, "I am old now, and I would like you to prepare me a dish that I like. Bring me something to eat so that I may give you my innermost blessing before I die." While Esau was out hunting, Rebekah told Jacob about the blessing, and Rebekah cooked up a meal for Jacob to present to Isaac. Even though Isaac was old and could not see well, Jacob still was doubtful that he could successfully convince his dad that he was Esau. After all, Isaac could use his other senses to determine who he was blessing, and if his father touched Jacob, he would know that it wasn't Esau, because Esau was hairy and Jacob was smooth-skinned. In the end, Rebekah placed hairy goat skins on Jacob's arms and neck, so that those parts of his body would feel hairy. When Jacob, pretending to be Esau, brought the meal to his father, Isaac seemed a bit confused as to which son was standing before him, and he said, "The voice is the voice of Jacob, but the hands are the hands of Esau. Hakol kol Yaakov v'achayadayim yedei Esau." But ultimately, Isaac believed Jacob. So Jacob received the blessing, and Esau was stripped of the advantages of being the firstborn. Studying Parshat Toldo, I was amazed at how family members could deceive each other so easily, and how parents could show such favoritism towards one child over another. What really interested me in Parshat Toldo was how different Esau and Yaakov seemed to be from each other. For instance, Esau was very hairy and was an outdoorsy, manly man who liked to hunt. On the other hand, Jacob was very smooth-skinned and had more of the qualities of a housewife. He seemed to love to stay indoors and cook. Some Torah commentaries also say that Jacob liked to read and study. Furthermore, Esau was more respectful to his father, and Jacob was more respectful to his mother. Esau was very demanding, driven by his physical desires, spontaneous, and clueless. These qualities were evident when Esau gave away his birthright for a pot of stew when he thought he was going to die of hunger. On the other hand, these were the qualities that Jacob demonstrated when he gave up his food to get the birthright. He was jealous and cunning, deceiving his brother not once, but twice in order to get what he thought he rightfully deserved, Esau's birthright and their father's blessing. Obviously, there are some significant differences between the brothers in Parshat Toldo. All siblings have differences. Take my sister Hannah and me, for example. There are some obvious physical differences as well as personality differences. Hannah is taller and older, while I'm shorter and younger. I have gray blue eyes, brown hair, and pale skin, while Hannah has baby blue eyes, blonde hair, and tan skin. Personality-wise, Hannah plays basketball, does not like public speaking, and likes to spend time by herself. On the other hand, I play soccer, like to believe that I am decent at public speaking, and I like to be with my family at all times. Some might say that we are polar opposites. In some ways, I am similar to Esau, and Hannah is similar to Yaakov. Like Esau, I am physically active and enjoy the outdoors. In addition to playing soccer, I also swim, play tennis, and do karate, dance, cross country, and acrobatics. I also share some of Esau's personality traits. I am determined, strong-willed, I like to be a leader, and I like to generate ideas in school. I tend to be adventurous and try new things. Esau was a hunter, and in a sense, so am I. I hunt down information. For example, I always look up food at restaurant and food label information because I have severe food allergies. And I hunt down opportunities. At age 9, I started my own business named Southern Salt. Like Jacob, Hannah does a lot of work inside the house and likes to cook. When Hannah makes food for the family, she alters the recipes so that it is allergy friendly, so that I can enjoy the meal as well. Hannah is more like a housewife at heart because she is very kind, amiable, courteous, honest, and welcoming to anyone she meets. In addition to differences between Esau and Yaakov that were evident in Parshat Toldot when they were older, some differences between them seem to be evident when they were babies. As I already mentioned, Esau was born hairy and more manly, while Jacob was born smooth-skinned and delicate. There may have been some differences between the brothers before they were even born. In Genesis, chapter 25, verse 22, in describing Rebekah's pregnancy, the Torah says, Vayitro tzetzu habanim bekirba, which means the children struggled in her womb. In Rashi's commentary, he quotes a midrash to call attention to this biblical verse, saying, whenever she, Rebekah, passed the entrance to the house of study, the Beit Midrash of Shem and Ever, Yaakov struggled to exit. But whenever she passed the entrance to the temples of idolatry, Esau struggles to exit. So, according to Rashi, Jacob was more attracted to Jewish study, while Esau was more attracted to idol worship. Adding to Rashi's commentary, I believe that Esau tended to be more hyper in his mother's room, while Jacob was more calm. Furthermore, I think that the fact that Jacob was holding on to Esau's heel when he came out of their mother's womb indicated that Jacob was eager to be first, and that he had the personality trait to be competitive. In Hebrew, the name Yaakov means he grabs the heel, which is a Hebrew idiom describing someone who engages in deceptive behavior. So it seems that some of Yaakov and Esau's differences were apparent from early on. The same is true for me and my sister. Some of our current characteristics may have been foreshadowed, even before birth. For example, my grandmother has allergies, and she may have passed them on to me. Also, my sister was more calm in the womb. On the other hand, I was a kicker and super hyperactive. It is interesting how even over time, we retain some of the qualities that we seem to have much earlier in life. Except for the kicking part. Now, my sister is always super calm and peaceful like she was back then. And I am still very anxious and always like to be mobile. My sister also had this goofy hairstyle when she was a baby. Her hair would stick out, and she sort of looked like she got electrocuted. More to the point, she still has the same goofy spirit that brightens people's days and makes them laugh. She has a great sense of humor. Having said this, I do not believe that your personality is completely predetermined from birth. Not all of the characteristics you have inherited or have at an early age necessarily become part of your present-day personality. If that was the case, how could two twin brothers born to the same parents and raised in the same household under the same conditions turn out so differently from each other? According to Maimonides, God gave us free will. This means that we hold our own fate in our own hands. We have the power to make our own decisions. According to Maimonides, the concepts of reward and punishment only make sense if people's behaviors are not completely predetermined at birth. As human beings, we make our own choices that can affect or alter the course of our lives and our personalities. Have you ever been told that you are unique or one of a kind? Well, you are, and that is a good thing. It means that you are independent and take charge of your own life. Your personality reflects you. Your path of life is not completely predetermined, even though some may choose to perceive it that way. We can determine our own destiny. Knowing that our choices can make a difference should make us want to make good decisions, so that we can each lead a beautiful life. Think of it this way. Even though God may have given every one of us a canvas, it is up to you to make your own masterpiece. For my Bar Mitzvah project this year, I created my own organization called the Calligraphy Smiles Foundation. After receiving some generous donations, I was able to reach my goal to purchase arts and crafts materials and make and mail dozens of handmade cards filled with kind words and smiles. I really wanted to send special cards to synagogue congregants who I felt needed a smile to help them through these tough times, especially members of Beth Ahm. In the end, I handmade and mailed cards to over 200 people who are members of the 5 Jewish communities where I belonged that have a special place in my heart. In Savannah, Georgia, Charlottesville, Virginia, West Hartford, Connecticut, Monmouth, New Jersey, and of course, right here in Aberdeen, New Jersey. Before the coronavirus pandemic, I had originally intended to volunteer at a hospital for my bat mitzvah project, because becoming a doctor is my dream job. But I'm so glad that I chose to send out these cards because I got to learn about some amazing people with kind hearts and received so many letters back of thanks. I even became friends with a 97-year-old pen pal. I loved asking her questions and was so happy to hear her answers. My heart was warmed when people shared their stories and thanks. I didn't think I made much of a difference at the time, but hearing back from all the people I sent letters to, they seemed very grateful. Another bat mitzvah project that I am working on is helping Heather Steinklein and Jen Smith with this year's milestone program at Temple Beth Ahm. Each month, there is a milestone board that, you guessed it, shares the big milestones of some of our community's members with the rest of the congregation. It is a chance to communicate and connect with others at Temple Beth Ahm, which I think is more important now than ever, because so many of us have not been able to get together during the COVID-19 pandemic. Through the milestone board, I have improved my communication skills, become more organized, and met even more amazing people in this wonderful community. I am so thankful to have this experience. Milestones are cherishable, memorable moments that give us a chance to connect and bring our Jewish community together. As I mark my own milestone today, becoming a full-fledged member of the Jewish community as a bat mitzvah, there are some people I would like to thank. First, I would like to thank Morisa for her patience and support in preparing me for today. She has worked with me for the past 9 months on my Torah and Torah readings, as well as many parts of the service, and I very much appreciate her dedication. And thank you for helping me lead the Torah service today. Next, I would like to thank Rabbi Malik for studying my Torah portion with me and my family, and for helping me get a better understanding of it, guiding me in writing Rabbi Mitzvah's speech, and helping me lead the service today. This year was my first year here at Temple Beth Ahm, and I would like to thank my religious school director, Maura Ann, and my Hay class teachers, Borderie and Maura Sherry, for helping me make me feel so welcome. I would also like to thank Heather Steinklein for helping me with my Bar Mitzvah project, teaching me how to be a professional telesalesperson, and giving me the opportunity to get to know even more people in the congregation. Finally, I would like to thank my dad for working with me each night on my Torah and Haftorah readings, and my mom and sister for helping me accomplish my 200-card goal for my Bar Mitzvah project. And I would like to thank all of you who are here with me in person or on Zoom, as I was called to the Torah today for the first time as a Bat Mitzvah. I'm so proud to be a member of this Jewish community. Todah Rabah.
Wow. That was
Now
beautiful.
Zoe will chant her Haftarah, beginning on page 163 of the 8th Chaim Chumash. But first, the blessing.
Okay, well,
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar b'nvi'im tovim v'ratzah v'divrei hana'amarim be'emet Baruch atah Adonai Aboher v'Torah u'Moshe avdo u'Yisrael amo u'v'ndirei ha'emet v'tzedek Masa Devar Adonai El Yisrael Biyad Ma'ahi Ahavti Ethem Amar Adonai Va'amotem V'ma'ahavtanu Hala'a Esav B'Yaakov Adonai Va'ahav Et Yaakov V'et Esav Zaneti Va'asim Et Harav Shemona V'et Nahalato L'tanot Mibar Itamar Edom, Rushashim, Benasu, Benifnei, Horavo, Ko Amar, Adonai, Siva'ot, Hemanifnu, Va'ani Eharos, Va'karu Lahem, Givu Risha, V'ha'am, Asher Za'am, Adonai, Ad Olam, Ve'enehem, Tirana, Va'atam, Tomru, Ida, Adonai, May all Ligvu Yisrael, Ben, Yichabit Av, Ve'eved Adonam, Ve'in Av, Ani, Aye, Kivodim, Imadonim, Ani, Aye, Moraim, Amar, Adonai, Siva'ot, Lahem, HaKohanim, Bozei, Shemi, Va'amartem, Va'amer, Vazinu, Et Shemecha, Magishim, Al Mizbehi, Lehem, Migo Al, Va'amartem, Va'mege Al Nuha, Va'amartem, Shulhan, Adonai, Yivzehu, Vehi Tagshun, Iber, Rizboa, Ein Ra, Vehi Tagishu, Hisea, Veholech, Ein Ra, Hakivehu, Na, with Tehateha, Hayetaha, Oh, Haysa, Faneha, Amar Adonai, Siva'ot, Ve'ata, Halina, Vene'el, Vihaneinu, Mi'amhem, Hai Tatsot, Haysa, Mikam, Panim, Amar Adonai, Siva'ot, Mi, Gambahem, Ve'yiskor, Delatayim, Ve'lota'im, Lizbehi, Hinam, Enli, Hefet, Vahem, Amar, Adonai, Siva'ot, Mincha, La'etzat, Mi'ahem, Ki, Nimzra, She'emesh, Ve'admava'ot, Gadol, Shemi, Bagoyim, Uvechol Makom, Mutar, Mugash, Lishmi, Umenchatechorah, Ki Gadol, Shemi, Bagoyim, Amar, Adonai, Siva'ot, Ve'atem, Mahalalim, Oto, Ve'mahem, Shulhan, Adonai, Migo Alhu, Venivot, Nivze'achlo, Ve'amartem, Hine Matla'ah, Ve'hipatem Oto, Amar, Adonai, Siva'ot, Ve'chabetem, Gazul, Ve'etapise'ah, Ve'etha, Horleh, Ve'chabetem, Etamincha, Ha'erzeh, Ota, Me'echem, Amar, Adonai, Ba'aror, Nohel, V'yesh, Be'enro, Zahar, V'noder, V'zoveh Mashhat, Le'adonai, Ki, Melech Gadol, Ani, Amar, Adonai, Siva'ot, Ushmi, Norabah Goyim, Ve'ata, Alehem, HaMitzvah, Hazot, HaKohanim, Imlo, Tishme'u, Ve'imlo, Tasimu Alev, Latei, Kivo Lishmi, Amar, Adonai, Siva'ot, V'shilati, Gahem, Etamera, Ve'aroti, Ebechotehem, Ve'gam, Artiha, Ki, Ehem, Samim, Ale, Inani, Go'er, Lahem, Etazera, V'zevriti, Beresh, Alpenehem, Perish, Hagehem, V'nasa, Etem, Elah, Idatem, Ki, Shilati, Alehem, Etamitzvah Hazot, V'hiot, Breti, Etlini, Amar Adonai, Siva'ot, Breti, Hayta, Ito, Hahayim, V'hashalom, Ve'etnim lo, Nora, Mira'eni, Umifnei, Shemi, Michahu, Torah, Emet, Hayta, V'fihu, Ve'avla, Lomimsa, V'spatav, Eshalom, Uvnishor, Hala, Iti, Rabim, Eshimei Abon, Kisitei, Hoheim, Yishmeru Dot, Veterai, Vachu, Mipihu, Ki, Malach, Adonai, Siva'ot, Hu, Baruch, Ata Adonai, Eloheinu, Melech HaOlam, Zor, Kol Olamim, Zadik, V'chol Hadarot, Ha'el HaNe'eman, Ha'omer, Ve'oseh, Ha'medaber, U'mekayem, Shehol Devarav, Emechat Zedek. Ne'eman, Atahu, Adonai, Eloheinu, V'ne'emanim, Devaraha, V'devar HaMivareha, Ahor Lo Yashuv Rekam, Ke'amelech Ne'eman, V'haman, Ata, Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el ha'na'aman b'chol dvarav. V'ha'en atiyom kihibet hayinu, v'la'ol levad nefesh toshiyah, v'herav v'yamenu. Baruch atah Adonai, v'sameh Zion b'vanecha. Samheinu Adonai Eloheinu, Eliyahu Hanavi Abdecha, Umehobed David Mishichecha, Yimhira Yavah, V'yageh Livenu, Al-Fisot Lo Yishazar, V'lo Yinhalu Ahamrim Ekvodo, Kiva Shem Tachaha Mishpata Lo, Shelo Yibeh Neiro V'olam Va'ed, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen David. Al-HaTorah, Ve'al-Avodah, Ve'al-Hamdi'im, Ve'al Yom HaShabbat Hazeh, Shenatah Tamanu, Adonai, Eloheinu, L'Tusha Ve'Linuha, L'Havod V'Tifaret. Al-HaKol, Adonai, Eloheinu, Anachnu, L'Dimah, V'Mevahim, Otah, Yibaresh V'Kol Hai, Tamid, Le'olam Va'ed, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Mazel tov, Siman tov, Siman tov, Mazel tov, Mazel tov, Siman tov, Siman tov, Mazel tov, Mazel tov, Siman tov, Yelanu, 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 U'Evo Yisrael, Yelanu, Yelanu, U'Evo Yisrael. Mazel tov, mazel tov. Okay, we continue our service with the prayer for the United States, led by Lynn Leeb, Zoe's grandmother, on page 177. Oh, well, okay. From your seats, go ahead. God of our Father. God of our ancestors, with mercy accept our prayer on behalf of our country and its government. Pour out your blessings upon this land, upon its inhabitants, upon its leaders and judges, officers and officials, who faithfully devote themselves to the needs of the public. Help them understand the rules of justice you have decreed, so that peace and security, happiness and freedom will never depart from our land. Adonai, God whose spirit is in all creatures, we pray that your spirit be awakened within all the inhabitants of our land. Uproot from our hearts hatred and malice, jealousy and strife. Plant love and companionship, peace and friendship among the many peoples and faiths who dwell in our nation. Grant us the knowledge to judge justly, the wisdom to act with compassion, and the understanding and courage to root out poverty from our land. May it be your will that our land be a blessing to all on earth, and may you cause all peoples to dwell in friendship and freedom. Speedily fulfill the vision of your prophets. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. For all of them, from the least of them to the greatest, shall know me. And let us say, Amen. The prayer for Israel, in Hebrew on page 178, and then in English will be led by Zoe after the Hebrew. Avinu Shabashamayim, Sur Yisrael v'goalo, Barech et Medinat Yisrael, Reshit Smichat Geulatenu, Hagen Aleha ve'evrat chasdecha, Ufros Aleha Sukat Shlomecha, Ushlach Orcha ve'amitcha l'rasheha, Sareha ve'yoatzeha, V'taknem be'etzat tova milfanecha, Chazek et idei miginei eretz kodshenu, V'anchilem Eloheinu Yeshua, V'ateret nitzachon ta'atrem, V'natata shalom ba'aretz, V'simchat olam liyoshveha, V'nomar Amen.
Sovereign of the universe, accept in loving kindness, and with favor our prayers for the state of Israel, for government and all who dwell within her boundaries and under the authority. Open our eyes and our hearts to the wonder of Israel, and strengthen our faith in your power to work redemption in every human soul. Grant us also the fortitude to keep ever before us those ideals upon which the state of Israel was founded. Grant courage, wisdom, and strength to those entrusted with guiding Israel's destiny to do your will. Be with those on whose shoulders Israel's safety depends, and defend them from all harm. Spread over Israel and all the world your shelter of peace, and may the vision of your prophet soon be fulfilled. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore.
And we continue then with the prayer for peace. Everybody together on page 178, the middle of the page. May we see the day when war and bloodshed cease, when a great peace will embrace the whole world. The nation will not threaten nation, and the human family will not again know war. For all who live on earth shall realize we have not come into being to destroy. We have come into praise, to labor, and to love. Compassionate God, bless the leaders of all nations with the power of comparison. Fulfill the promise conveyed in Scripture. I will bring priests to the land, and you shall lie down, and no one shall terrify you. I will rid the land of vicious beasts, and it shall not be ravaged by war. The justice and righteousness flow like a mighty stream. Let God's peace fill the earth as the waters fill the sea. And let us say, Amen. Zoe will continue to lead us with the Ashrei prayer on page 181 in the Red Siddur.
Ashrei Ashrei V'Taha Od Halu Hazala.
Ashrei ha'am sheka'ach halo, Ashrei ha'am sh'Adonai Eloho.
Tehillah LeDavid, Amim Pelahai HaMelech, Var Hashim Halelam Ba'en.
V'lalashim halelam ba'ed.
Gadol Adonai Halel Me'od, V'liglato En Heker.
Dor l'dor yishavach ma'asecha, u'gvurotecha yagidu.
Hadar Kivod Hodeha, V'divrei Nefotah Asiha.
Ve'zuznortecha yomeru, u'gdulatcha asaprena.
Zeherah Tuchaya Biyu, V'tzidachatecha Yernenu.
Chanun v'rachum Adonai, erech apayim ugdal chesed.
Tov Adonai Lakol, Rahama B'Kol Masav.
Yoduch Adonai kol ma'asecha, v'chasidtecha yibarchucha.
Kevod Malchuto Yomeru, U'gurata Yedaberu.
Lahodir lifnei ha'adam kruotav, u'chavod hadam malchuto.
Malchuto Ko Olamim, Ulam Shel Dacha Bechol Dor Vador.
Somech Adonai l'chol hanoflim, v'zokef l'chol hakfufim.
Einei Kol Hayasaberu, Ve'ata Noten Lehem Et Achlan Beito.
Poteach et yadecha, u'masbir l'chol chai ratzon.
Sadik Adonai Bechol Dorahav, Ve'hasid Bechol Masav.
Karov Adonai l'chol kar'av, l'chol asher yikrahu v'emet.
Ritzon Yorav Yaseh, Ve'et Shivatam Yishmam V'Yoshim.
Shomer Adonai et kol havav, v'et kol harashayim yashmid.
Tehillah Adonai Yadar Berpi, V'varech Kol Bashar Shekat Sholilam Ba'en.
V'anachnu nevarech ya, meta b'yad olam. Hallelujah. We continue with the service of returning the Torah to the Ark, found on page 183. Shamayim, vayarem keren li'am. Adonai lamamu ya Shamayim Adonai melech haolam Adonai os le'amoite Adonai yevarech et amo b'shalom Uvrucho yorash
Ki leketov nantati lahem Torati ahazovim
Okay, we go on now to the Musaf service, which will be found on 184. If you can, you rise for it. And we begin with Chatzi Kaddish on 184 and then continue.
Yikadav yikadash shnei rabah
Amen.
Be'amad divrahirte yam yamahute Be'hayahon yamahon ufayetucho be'Yisrael B'agalav zmakaribim ru amen
Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevara Le'olam le'olam le'omaya Yibara
Yibara v'yishtabah Yipar v'yitramam v'yinaseh V'yitadar v'yitalov v'yitalashimeni kudashah b'rihu Le'elam v'yikover hata v'shirata Tishbehata v'ne'amata Dami rame'ama v'imiru amen
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov HaEl HaGadol HaGibor v'Hanura El Elyon Gomel Hasadim Tovim v'Konei HaKol v'Zoker Hasdei Avod Umevi Goel Ifnei B'neihem L'man Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer U'Mashiach U'Makir Baruch atah Adonai V'Yei Avraham Atah Gibor L'Olam Adonai V'Hayei Metim Atah V'Yishia V'Shifai Ruach U'Morid HaGashem Mehaker Hayim B'Chesed Mehayei Metim B'Rahadinabi Zomech Noflim B'Rofei Holim U'Matir Asurim U'Mekayem Emunato Rishenei Afar Mihamo Chava V'Vero U'Mido Melah Melanenit U'Mehayem U'Masaniach V'Shila V'Ne'eman Atah L'Hayot Leitim Baruch Atah Adonai Mehayei HaMeitim Na'aritzeha v'na'akdishha Hisosia Sarfei Kodesh Hamakdishim Shimcha B'Kodesh Kakatu Al Yanaviyeha V'Kara Zalzalei Aroma Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh Adonai Sivot Melech Ha'aretz Kivodo Kivodo Ma'ale Ma'ale Olam Ayin Mekach Kivodo Kivodo Ma'ale Ma'ale Olam Ayin Mekach Kivodo Kivodo Ma'ale Ma'ale Olam Mishram Tasharam Mishram Zelazet Ayin Mekach Kivodo Mishatam Shalom Shalom Zalezim Ayene Kokevodom Umatam Baruch Yomeru Baruch Kivod Adonai Mikomo Mikomo Yifem Berahamim Yelam Am Yahadim Shema Erev Bechol Yom Tamid Hamayim Be'achava Shema Omrim Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Hu Eloheinu Hu Avinu Hu Malkeinu Hu Moshienu Vehu Yashmienu V'Rahman Sheni Le'nei Kol Hayim V'Chot Lahem Le'Elohim Ani Adonai Elohim V'Varei Kachahakatu Le'ma Yimlov Adonai Elohim Siyom L'dor Vador Hallelujah L'dor Vador L'dor Vador L'dor Vador Nag Yigal Leha L'dor Vador L'dor Vador L'dor Vador Nag Yigal Leha Ulanetzahi Kiddushata Nagdish V'shikaha Eloheinu Mipiru Shamish V'yamish Le'olam Ba'ed L'dor Vador L'dor Vador L'dor Vador Nag Yigal Leha L'dor Vador L'dor Vador L'dor Vador Nag Yigal Leha Ki Emelech Gadol Gadol V'Kadosh Gadol V'Kadosh Ata Ki Emelech Gadol Gadol V'Kadosh Gadol V'Kadosh Ata Baruch Ata Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh Tikamta Shabbat Ratita Kabnuteha Sevita Perushaha Im Tzedrei Nesaheha Nangel Elam Kivodim Halu Shomehim Zahu Vegam Lavim Dvareg Gizela Baharu As Misinai Ditzkalu Aleha Vatavim Adonai Eloheinu Lahadriba Karam Misham Shabbat Para'u Yiratam Nefanaha Adonai Eloheinu Velohei Avoteinu Hamet Shivanu Lam Shata Aleinu V'Sim Ala Artseinu V'Yida'enu V'Vuleinu Shesham Asu Avoteinu Lefanai Karbonotehem Tamidim Kasidram Umasafim Pikyohatam Ve'et Musaf Yom HaShabbat Hazeh Asu V'Hikivru Lefaneha Ve'alavad Kresvat Ratzoneha Pakat Tubatorteha Aldei Moshe Abdaha Mepik Vadaha V'Amala Yom HaShabbat Shemei Kavasim B'nei Shanatim Yimim Rushnei Esrolim Solehni Habula Mishamim Yemisko Olav Shabbat V'Shabbato Olav Hadkami B'Nizah Yismehu V'Malav Deha Shomrei Shabbat Bekor Oneh Shabbat Yismehu V'Malav Deha Shomrei Shabbat Bekor Oneh Shabbat Mekadesh Shevi Shabbat Ulam Yisbe'u V'Yitaguni Tuveha Shabbat Yismehu V'Malehu Teha Shomrei Shabbat Bekor Oneh Shabbat Yismehu V'Malehu Teha Shomrei Shabbat Bekor Oneh Shabbat V'Hashvi Ratzitabo Gehidashto Shabbat Hamdah Yamin Oto Parata Shabbat Yismehu V'Malehu Teha Shomrei Shabbat Bekor Oneh Shabbat Yismehu V'Malehu Teha Shomrei, 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 Shabbat Bekoe, Oneg Shabbat. Zeher, Lemase, Lemase Bereshit Shabbat. Zeher, Lemase, Lemase Bereshit Shabbat. Yisnehu, Lemalehu Decha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat Bekoe, Oneg Shabbat. Yisnehu, Lemalehu Decha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat Bekoe, Oneg Shabbat. Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu Ritzei Binu Chatenu Kadeshenu b'mitzvoteha V'tein helkenu b'torateha Sabenu mituveha V'samhenu b'yeshuateha V'tamer liveinu le'avdeha be'emet V'ha'ilenu Adonai Eloheinu Ve'ahava ratzon Shava kadsheha Ve'anuhu v'ha Yisrael V'kadeshei shemeha Baruch atah Adonai V'kadesh ha'shabbat V'tzei Adonai Eloheinu v'amlecha Yisrael v'vilatam Hashei v'tavav dalid v'beiteha V'filatam v'havatika b'beratzon V'tilu ratzon tamid avadat Yisrael ameha V'tehazana einenu b'shuhalati yom rahamim Baruch atah Adonai Amazir shinato letzion V'dimana Atov kilo halirahamaha V'hamahim kilo tamu hasadel me'olam kivinu la Ve'al kulam ibara v'chimam shimhama kena tamid le'lam ba'en Ve'ho ha'im yodu chasela V'halu et shimha be'emet Ha'el yisraetenu ve'ezraetenu yusela Baruch atah Adonai Ha'tov shimha uhana elehozot Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu V'aheinu v'Abraham shuleshet V'atorah ha'tuva al-yedei Moshe avdeha V'amara mipi Aharon v'banav kohanim Amkedusheha ka'amuron V'varaha Adonai v'yismareha Ve'er Adonai panav eleha v'hihuneka Yasa Adonai panav eleha v'yasem leha shalom Sim shalom Sim shalom tova uraha ba'olam Sim shalom tova uraha Hein v'chesed v'rahamim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael amecha Braheinu avinu kulan yirkiyecha Bi'or panecha Sim shalom Sim shalom tova uraha ba'olam Sim shalom tova uraha Ki bi'or panecha netata lanu Adonai Eloheinu Torat Chaim V'Ahavat Chesed U'Tzedaka U'Raha V'Rahamim V'Chaim V'Shalom Sim shalom Sim shalom tova uraha ba'olam Sim shalom tova uraha V'tov be'eneha levara et ameha Yisrael V'hol eit u'v'hol shah V'shlomeha Sim shalom tova uraha ba'olam Sim shalom tova uraha Baruch atah Adonai Ambarei et amo Yisrael b'shalom Yikadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah
Amen.
V'amad yivrach yutei v'amlem machutei v'chayachon yomachon v'chayidechol b'et Yisrael v'golav izman karev yimru Amen
Amen.
Yehei shmei Rabbah
Mevarach
V'olam
Le'olam Le'omayam Yitbarach. 2 or 3.
V'arvi tumam v'itmaseh V'tadar v'talav v'talash v'ed kudusha
Brechu.
Elam mikol brihata v'shirata Kis behata v'ne'amata Damiram ri'alma v'imru Amen
Amen.
שיקבל סרטון ובאותון דחו ישראל כדם ובהם דבישמי ואמרו אמן.
Amen.
יהי שלום רבה מצ'מיה והגים עלינו והכל ישראל ואמרו אמן.
Amen.
עושה שלום מרומיו ויעשה שלום עלינו והכל ישראל ואמרו
Amen. Yasher Koach. Okay, Rabbi, I believe.
So I think it's time for me to give you my presentation. So, if you want to, let me just ask Risa if there are any actual gifts there, or if I can just refer to them.
Sorry, what was there are? You're talking about this?
Yes, Scott, why don't you stay on the bima and maybe get Liz as well?
You stay over where the rep.
So I'm going to begin my presentation to Zoe with the dog barking, apparently. Sorry about that. That's Pearson. Now, I actually wanted to start with a quote from someone who I know will be famous one day, and even if she's not famous, will be famous to me. That person is Zoe Caitlin Leeb. So this is a quote from your Devar Torah, Zoe. You wrote and said, "Even though God may have given each of us a canvas, it is up to you to make your own masterpiece." So these are your words, and Zoe, I think you truly are a masterpiece. There are just no words to express how wowed we all are with your talent and your poise on the bima today, even with a mask, even under these crazy conditions. So impressive, everything that you learned. I can honestly say that you are the first student at Temple Beth Ahm since I have been here, since 9.5 years ago, who did all of Musaf, in addition to everything else that you learned and led so beautifully, from the Siddur, from the Torah, from the Haftarah. And in addition to all of that, you delivered an insightful and entertaining speech about Parshat Toldot and about your bat mitzvah projects. Zoe, you know, when you become a bat mitzvah, you're essentially making a public statement that you are proud to be a full-fledged member of the Jewish community with all of the rights and responsibilities that come along with it. And as a bat mitzvah, you're responsible for fulfilling the mitzvot, including the mitzvah of lifelong Torah study. As a reminder of this responsibility, I present you, and will be presenting you, I don't have it with me, I have the large version, the Eitz Chaim Chumash, that you have in the sanctuary, but there's a mini version of it that either is on Risa's side of the bima or is somewhere in the office. There it is, okay. The only thing that's missing, though, is all the Post-its. So I put your Post-its in my big book here, and I'll have to, so don't take that Siddur home with you. I need to personalize it. But this is a gift from not this, but the one that you're holding is a gift from the Eitz Chaim, it is an Eitz Chaim Chumash. It's a portable version, a paperback version of this. It's a gift from the Temple Beth Ahm Men's Club. And I will be marking that Chumash with several Post-its. So the one that I have here for illustration purposes, I've marked off your Torah portion and your Haftorah. So Parshat Toldot and the Haftorah from the book of Malachi. But there's other bonus Post-its here, as I always have, for my B'nai Mitzvah students. So your first name in Hebrew is Ora. And the words Ora and Or both mean light. One is the feminine version, one's the masculine version. Your parents chose the name Ora for you, Ora, because in their words, and this is a quote, "It is your fondest hope that our daughter," let me read that again, sorry. "It is our fondest hope that our daughter serve as a guiding light to family, friends, and community." End quote. So Zoe, you certainly have served as a guiding light for the first 13 years of your life, and I am so confident that your light will continue to shine forth as you mature and grow. Now, the Hebrew word orah does not appear in the 5 books of the Torah, but it does appear in a verse from Megillat Esther that Jews around the world recite every year at Purim, and also every Saturday night, as we did last night, as part of the Havdalah service. La Yehudim hayta orah, b'simcha, b'sason, v'yikar. Kenti elanu, is what we say. The Jews experienced light, gladness, joy, and honor, so may it be with us. And although the word orah doesn't appear in the Torah in the 5 books of the Chumash, the word or does appear in Bereshit. So you can take your little book right there. I even put the page number is page 5. It's Bereshit, it's Parshat Bereshit, chapter 1, Psukim, verses 3 through 4. And this is when God created the world. What was the very first thing that God created was light. And it says in verse 3, Yehi or, let there be light. And there was light, Vayehi or. And then in verse 4, the Torah reads, Vayar Elohim et ha'or ki tov. God saw that the light was good. Boy, would God be saying that right now if God was in some kind of physical presence on the bima and we could hear God's words. God would be saying, Ha'orah ki tovah. So Zoe, your middle name in Hebrew is Rivka. And Rivka's name first appears in a genealogy at the end of Parshat Vayera. So I will be putting a post-it on page 122 of the Eitz Chaim Chumash. That's at the end of Parshat Vayera. And in verse 23 there, on that page, Rivka makes her first appearance in a genealogy. And then she makes her first appearance as a person with dialogue and actions at the famous scene at the well in Parshat Chayei Sarah. And that's on page 133 in the Eitz Chaim Chumash. Genesis 24, verse 15. Zoe, your sister Hannah was named after 2 family matriarchs in your family, but you were named after a family patriarch, your paternal great-grandfather, Scott's grandfather, Reuben Leeb. When you were born, your parents' rabbi came up with several possible female Hebrew equivalents to your great-grandfather's male Hebrew name, Reuven. So your parents decided upon the biblical matriarch, Rivka. So I think it is so appropriate that your bat mitzvah portion, Parshat Toldot, features your biblical namesake, Rivka, so prominently. Now in your Devar Torah, Zoe, you chose to focus on Rivka's twins, Yaakov and Esau, Jacob and Esau. And of course you did allude to their mother, Rivka, when you said, I was amazed at how family members could deceive each other so easily and how parents could show such favoritism towards one child over another. Zoe, when we were studying the Parsha together, we talked about the positive and negative characteristics of all of the biblical heroes in Parshat Toldot, and this is what you had to say about Rivka. Again, I quote you. I looked at her mostly negatively because the Parsha doesn't talk about Rebekah's good features. It only talks about how she deceived her family and used favoritism to give Esau's blessing and birthright to Jacob. So yes, Zoe, in our conversations about Yaakov and Esau, we came to the realization that some of them had some pretty negative characteristics. We also came to the realization that neither Yaakov nor Esau was 100% positive or 100% negative. Like all human beings, neither one of them was perfect completely, and neither was completely evil. And the same could be said about Rivka. So if we look back at last week's Torah portion, Parshat Chayei Sarah, Rivka comes across as the living embodiment of chesed. You see that on page 133 and the pages that follow in Parshat Chayei Sarah, last week's Parsha. Rivka schleps back and forth from the well. She brings water not only to Abraham's messenger, Eliezer, but also to his 10 camels. She comes across Rivka as hospitable, charitable, and kind. Now, of course, it is possible to view Rivka's acts in this week's Parsha, Toldot, as deceptive, you use that word, and otherwise negative, but it's also positive to view those very same actions in a positive light. So one could say that Rivka had foresight and vision, and this vision was informed by prophecy. the prophetic words that God addressed to her when she was pregnant with the twins at the beginning of this week's Parsha. At the beginning of Toldot, in chapter 25, verse 23, God says to Rivka, Virav ya'avod tza'ir, the older twin shall serve the younger one. So it was due to Rivka's ability to understand this prophecy and her impetus to bring that prophecy to fruition that led Rivka to help Yaakov get the blessing from his dad. And by doing this, Rivka demonstrated that she was resolute and effective in achieving her goals for her family. There's a dictionary known as the Klein Dictionary. It's a scholarly etymological dictionary of Rabbinic Hebrew. That's the Hebrew of the Talmud and other rabbinic texts. And the noun Rivka, spelled with an aleph at the end instead of a hey, it's pluralized Rivkaot. It comes from the word ravak, which means tied together or bound together. And in rabbinic times, the noun Rivka referred to a stall, literally a tying place where animals were kept, or a team of animals that were tied together so that they could be fed or work the land as a team. Zoe, in the short time that you have been a member of Temple Beth Ahm, and it does feel like you've been with us forever, you have demonstrated your ability to work as part of a team and to bind people closely together. You did most of the creative work yourself for the Calligraphy Smiles Foundation that you've created, but you also had to mobilize a team of volunteers, including your parents, to fundraise, get supplies, distribute the cards that you created to hundreds of people. And with this unique Bat Mitzvah project, you also succeeded in binding people together as part of a community. Just last Friday, before Shabbat, when you participated in the Zoom service, you heard rave reviews from 3 Temple Beth Ahm members who received your cards. There are many more, and 3 just happened to be at that service. 2 of them even displayed these cards for all to see on Zoom. And a couple of months ago, you and your parents worked with a different team, a team of other Temple Beth Ahm volunteers led by Stu Abraham, to put together high holiday kits. And these kits included personalized masks with the TBA logo, hand sanitizer, honey, and other goodies. And these kits enabled members of our shul who have not been into the synagogue building for months to feel more connected to the TBA community during this pandemic. Zoe, you're also a team player that's part of the Milestones team with Heather Steinklein and Jen Smith. You have done a wonderful job of announcing milestones over Zoom, but that's not all. You have also been an incredibly valuable part of the team due to your personal outreach and fundraising efforts. Just a few weeks ago, you personally reached out to me, asking me and my husband, Adi, to sponsor a milestone for our 26th wedding anniversary. And I said, yes, of course, because who could say no to you? And earlier this week, in the midst of all of your last-minute bat mitzvah preparations and the uncertainty, you sent an email to me that said, and again I quote you, "Congratulations, Rabbi. I'm so happy to hear Ariel," that's my son, "is starting a new, memorable, and beautiful chapter in his life. I am so glad he just got engaged. Okay, I am so happy that he is happy and you are excited for him. Their music is beautiful and I can't imagine how perfect they are for each other. Since the Milestones program is ending earlier this year, I don't want you to miss out on a great opportunity to show how proud you are of your soon-to-be daughter, Sophia, and son, Ariel. If you would like to do a milestone this November for Ariel and Sophia's engagement, please let me know ASAP because I will be happy to put you on as a last-minute addition. I can't imagine how proud as parents you and Adi are and hope that you will get a chance to boast about this to your Jewish community, to our Jewish community. Zoe, how could I possibly say no to that incredible sales pitch? You are incredibly effective and also self-aware about your ability to pursue opportunities. As you said in your Devar Torah, and again I quote you, Esau was a hunter, and in a sense, so am I. I hunt down information, and I hunt down opportunities. And you talked about how at age 9 you started your own business, Southern Salts. It's not surprising, Zoe, and I know that you are going to be successful in all of your future endeavors as a businesswoman, as a volunteer fundraiser, as a leader in the Jewish community, as a shlichat tzibor, leader of prayers, and in anything else that you set your mind to. May you go from strength to strength. And here's a virtual hug. And if there are other gifts on the Bima that Risa could present, she doesn't need to say much, just that, and if they're not there, one is a gift from the sisterhood, a few are the gifts from the Temple Beth Ahm, Board of Trustees. There should be a certificate there signed by me and our president, Nathan Goldwasser. And I believe Maura Ann Gable is there in person. She can present a tzedakah box to you too. So I'm not sure if you want to take the certificate out of the envelope and show it, and I will mute myself again.
We have the Jewish Book of Why, which, and remind me, is from the board. That's what I thought. The Jewish Book of Why from the board, and from the Youth United Synagogue, the Kol Echad, which has the songs that they sing in USY, as long as some other prayers, the blessing after praise after meals. So hopefully you will use that and when you join USY. And the certificate, beautiful certificate we have. And I expect oohs and ahs.
Risa, do you want to move it into the Zoom camera so the Zoom folks can see it a little more towards Zoe? Yeah.
Which says, Certificate of Bat Mitzvah, blessed is God who has chosen us from among the nations and given us the Torah from Brachot. And then it's presented by Temple Beth Ahm to Zoe, Caitlin, Leeb, who having completed the required studies was called to the Torah as a Bat Mitzvah on the 5th day of Kislev, 5781, Parshat Toldog, a portion of Toldog, corresponding to the 21st day of November 21st day of November 2020, and it's signed by Rabbi Malik and by the president of the congregation. And the United Synagogue, from the United Synagogue, put out the poster, and this is yours. Thank you. And now, Ann Gable, the principal of our terrific Hebrew school, will make a presentation.
Okay, normally at this point I give it.
We're going to unmute.
That's all right.
Not touchscreen.
Oh, it's not. Sorry, I have one touchscreen at home.
Yeah, that's that screen too.
Sorry about that.
Can we put Maura Ann in front of a computer?
You gotta turn that one off.
Zoe's going to turn that
No, you have to turn that one off. Or else you get a double. Okay, there you go. Okay. Oh, it's still doing it. Is it off?
It should. Oh, wait. Never mind. There we go.
Now it's off, okay. Normally I give a big hug at this point, but I'm hugging you. Okay. Zoe, I want to wish you mazel tov on this very special day. I know how hard you studied for today, and it really showed. Very proud of you. Also, mazel tov to your parents, Liz and Scott, your sister Hannah, and your grandparents, and all your relatives and friends who are watching you virtually, and who are here in person for this very special occasion. I know it hasn't been easy, but you really rose to the occasion and you did a great job. You can be very proud of yourself. Zoe, I stand before you today as an educator who is so proud of the student you are, and it was wonderful getting to know you. In the Torah portion, Lech Lecha, we read a few weeks ago, God says to Abram, go from your land, Lech Lecha me'artzecha, from relatives and from your father's house to the land I will show you. The words Lech Lecha is sometimes interpreted as command, go to yourself. Why would God use those words? The rabbis explain that God asked Abraham to leave the familiar and go on a journey to find himself through the test that God will give him. And as he does, it will bring him closer to God, which it did. Zoe, that is exactly what you did. Just as God asked Abraham, your parents asked you to leave the familiar and brought you here to Temple Beth Ahm, Religious School to continue your journey, just like Abraham, to find out more about yourself and your Jewish heritage. Coming to a new place would be hard for any student, but not for you. You fit right in right from the start. I know you have moved a lot, and that alone is challenging. But adding on the health environment we are going through, you had a rough journey to travel. You had such a wonderful and great attitude towards learning and respecting your elders. Your new journey so far has increased your knowledge in Judaism, made you feel comfortable in our synagogue, and helped you make new friends. We are very grateful for this, since you were such an asset to the class this past year. Your desire to learn all you could about your Jewish heritage from Mora Narita Mora Shari have been evident since the day you stepped into the class. Your participation in class was exemplary. You offered to help lead prayers during services, were caught doing mitzvot, and participated in all mitzvah projects with much dedication. I'm especially so proud of the sunshine cards you crafted to send to those who were shut down during the virus. I know you sent over 100 or more, like a lot, of personally handcrafted cards, and your mother said everything was all over the place, the dining room table and everything. You sent those handcrafted cards, in which my mom and mother-in-law were recipients of. They were so touched and so happy to get them. And many in the temple came to me and said, "Who is this girl Zoe? Like, I got a card from her. It was so wonderful." So I heard from so many. So you really did a very great mitzvah. You were also helping out with the synagogue's milestones under the supervision of Heather Steinklein over there, which the rabbi spoke about. You did so many charitable deeds for such a young lady, and it's really wonderful. Your love for helping others surely comes from your mom and dad, who are excellent role models for you. They're such wonderful people who I'm so happy to have met. I definitely know you will continue to do acts of love and kindness through your lifetime. Therefore, to help you with the mitzvah projects you do in the future, I have a tzedakah box here that I'd like to present on behalf of Temple Beth Ahm Religious School. It has an inscription that reads, "To Zoe, on this your Bat Mitzvah Day, November 22nd, 2020, we are wishing you Mazel Tov." As it says in Pirkei Avot, Ethics of the Fathers, the world stands on three things: Torah, worship, and good deeds. Please continue to do good deeds. Best wishes from Mora Ann and the Temple Beth Ahm Religious School. Zoe, I hope your journey to find yourself and who you are as a Jewish person continues for many years to come. I hope you'll continue your journey through Hebrew High School, just as Abraham continued his Jewish education through his life. Yasher Koach, and a job well done. And I'm going to add, when we go back to normal, I would love to see you up on the beamer as much as possible. You did a great job today.
Thank you.
Mazel tov to everybody.
Sorry, thank you. Okay, at this point, we're towards the end of our service. I'm going to mute me.
Okay.
Okay, and Zoe will lead us in Ein Keloheinu on page 204.
Ein Keloheinu, Ein
Adonenu,
Ein
Ein
Kemokeinu,
Kemokeinu,
Ein
Ein
Kemoshienu,
Kemoshienu, Mi Eloheinu, Mi Adonenu, Mi Kemokeinu, Mi Kemoshienu, Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adonenu, Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu, Atahu Shektiru, Avotenu, Lefanecha et Torah Hasam. If you are able, please rise for Aleinu on 205.
Aleinu
לשבח לדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, Shalom chalkeinu kahem, v'goraleinu kechol hamonam. Anachnu korim, u'ishtahadim Elohim, Lifnei melech malkei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Kafetu b'torateha, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed.
V'ne'emar, v'haya Adonai, l'melech al kol haaretz. Bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad. U'shema echad. Are there any mourners in the room? Or those reciting Yortzeit? Okay. Yitgadal, v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'yalmad divrach yirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon, v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, v'agalav v'zman kariv, imru, amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach, le'olam olmei maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shmei d'kudsha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nachamata damiran v'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemai l'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav v'yaseh shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. And we conclude the service with Adon Olam on page 211. And then afterwards, presentation from the parents.
Adon Olam
Asher Mala B'terem kol Yitzir Nivra Le'ed Nasa V'hefzo Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra V'yaharei Kichrota Kol Le'vado Yimloch Nora V'hu Haya V'hu Hoveh V'hu Yiyeh V'tikvara V'hu Echad V'hein Sheni L'hamshila l'hachbira V'li reshit V'li tachlit V'lo ha'oz V'hamisra V'hu Eli V'chai go'ali V'tzor chevli V'yetzara V'hu nisi V'manosli Minat kasi B'yom ekra V'yado Afidrufli V'eiti shan V'ahira V'imruchi Geviati Adonai li V'lo ira. At this point, I'd like to call up Liz and Scott, who have a presentation to make to Zoe.
Zoe, it is with great pride and love we stand in front of you at this important event, you becoming a bat mitzvah. The event marks your passage into adulthood in the eyes of the Jewish religion. In our view, it is another example of a milestone that you have successfully accomplished. You truly were amazing today. There are several words we would use to describe you.
Driven. Whatever you do, you want to excel. I remember when you told me you wanted to play chess. I said it takes 10 minutes to learn, but a lifetime to master. You said no problem, and quickly learned the moves and wanted to win right away. We We talked about strategy, and you immediately understood its importance and quickly became good at the game. The same was true for playing cards, Macala, another one of your favorites, or Monopoly. We can also add sports to this list. You took up karate at a young age and progressed to red-black belt by the age of 7. This fall, out of nowhere, you decided you wanted to pick up cross country. A week into the season, you emailed the coach asking to be considered. You showed up the next day to practice, running the farthest you ever have and lasting the entire 4.5-mile run. You also decided to support the team as a school newspaper photographer and took photos at a few of the meets. Now you want to play on the high school football team, but that's a discussion for a later time.
Social. You thrive on friendship and contact with people. Your usual weekend refrain is, let's watch a movie, or let's play cards or a board game. When we moved to Charlottesville, you pushed us to throw a block party so our little community could get together. You took your party planning skills to the new COVID socially distant requirements by introducing our hometown New Jersey neighbors to a driveway party within our cul-de-sac. Everyone came with a beach chair and a story, and we laughed until dark. Neighbors expressed how enjoyable it was and asked for a repeat, which, of course, you obliged to 3 weeks later. Now that you are 13 and of Instagram age, you are excited to have a private account to broaden your social reach. If we are so lucky, we may all get the chance to follow you.
Resilient. When you were young, you were diagnosed with severe food allergies. You have learned to adapt to these constraints. But more importantly, you have served as an ambassador, teaching family and friends about allergies and what to watch out for. You are always keeping us on our toes, checking ingredients and recipes. You have been active in FACT, the Food Allergy and Anaphylaxis Connection team. You have been saying since a young age that you wanted to be a doctor and help other people out. In fact, were it not for COVID-19, you would have probably been volunteering in a local hospital as part of your Mitzvah project.
Curious. I don't know when it started or how you found out about it, but one day I came into your room and you were on a DIY website looking at arts and crafts. Next thing I know, we bought a bag of 1,000 looms and you were busy making bracelets for everyone we know. You even made some to sell to raise funds for Destination Imagination, which you took part in for several years. You quickly became a leader on your team, which took you to the World Finals in Knoxville.
Finally, one piece of advice that we offered to your sister and we want to offer it to you as well. It is amazing as you have grown into a mature, beautiful young adult, how true these words ring today.
A wish for you, our daughter.
If there could be only one thing in life for me to teach you, I would teach you to love.
To respect others so that you may find respect in yourself.
To learn the value of giving, so that if ever there comes a time in your life that someone really needs, you will give.
To act in a manner that you would wish to be treated, to be proud of yourself.
To laugh and smile as much as you can in order to help bring joy back into this world.
To have faith in others, to be understanding.
To stand tall in this world and to learn to depend on yourself.
To only take from this earth those things which you really need, so there will be enough for others.
To not depend on money or material things for your happiness, but to learn to appreciate the people who love you, the simple beauty that God gave you, and to find peace and security within yourself.
To you, our child, I hope I will find all these things, for they are love.
We love you so much and hope that these words continue to ring true for all the days of your life.
Thank you.
Well, that concludes today's service, and Zoe has become a bat mitzvah, a daughter of the commandments, and she is an adult as much as anybody else in here above the age of 13. So mazel tov to the Leeb family. And
We just wanted to say a few words to the people on the web who joined us. This concludes the production of the Zoe Leeb Bat Mitzvah. I'm sure you all agree it was a virtuoso job by our star. And if you could all wave so she can see you. And
Thank you, everybody.
great. But of course, a production is only as good as the director. So we wanted to thank Rabbi Malik and Maura Risa for helping today under these most extraordinary times. And again, Congratulations to most extraordinary girl in these most extraordinary times. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Do you want to get a screenshot?
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay, she's gonna get a screenshot of everybody. So wave again. So print screen.
Oh wait, wait. Thank you.
We love you.
Here, I'll take it.
Go Eagles.
We can unmute everybody.
I'm muted.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Thank you all for coming.
Those are all yours. Certificate, candlesticks.
Liz, Zoe.
Thank you. Should I end it now?
What?
Should I end it now?
Yeah, I got it. Hold it, stop the recording. I can still stop on it.
Yeah.
Here's all the candy. If you want to get that.
This is
Oh my goodness. Thank you. Bye. Oops. Bye. Zoe, come here. Okay. She's. Did you log out?
no.
Okay. Will you come say bye one more time? Oh, okay.
This is a gift. It's a special card from Crusoe. So I'd like you to know that they senior artist on recycled paper. And I gave you a check for the future. I gave you a little card.
That we will remember. Let me get the cameras right. You want to get some pictures?
Want to tell them more?
Yeah.
So there's a lot between the screens, so make sure you don't lose it. Never mind. Okay, Zoe, have you checked these Sidors?
No, I found it.
Oh, you did? Okay. This
It was
one?
in her bag.
Oh. Okay. I'm gonna put mom and dad's speech in your Sidor so we know. And your Haftarah and your Torah portion. There.
Okay, that's my marshmallows.
I'm gonna grab your gifts.